Good night and welcome to Mindful Life 416. I am your host Nathan Springer, also the co-host. Sometimes the host is out there doing her thing, you know how she does. And welcome. It is currently the 24th of July in the year of our Lord 2024. The year is moving along briskly in this beautiful Twin Island Republic, paradise on earth, Trinidad and Tobago, where they say may not be real, may or may not. So I may be a figment of your imagination. I may be an illusion. Who knows? We might not be real out here. But the crime situation very real. Whether the country might be real or not, the people dropping like flies feels all too real. Yo, Willie Bang. Yeah, nice. Once you all are on the inside, though, whether you are on YouTube or on TikTok, hit that like button, double tap the screen over there on TikTok. That is how you hit the like button over there. If you ever wondered, well, I don't see a like button here. What is this like button this guy keeps speaking about? Well, the like button is found when you double tap the screen and get those likes flowing. Hey, Reeve, what's going on, bro? Bro, Reeve, you in Tobago, eh? What going on in Tobago, bro? How Tobago get heated so? What's happening? What's going on? What is really going on in Tobago? Why Tobagonians trying to kill out each other so quickly? I don't get it. I saw that fire flame, and the Ghetto Secret Service seems to be a bit more effective than even maybe the US Secret Service. And you know what was real interesting? Kind of how they didn't come in there, like they didn't come in their own vehicles. It's like they spawned out of the ether. They spawned right there, and when the person exited and drove off, they just evaporated. I'm wondering if they were strapped, if they were armed, and if they were armed, are we just having random armed people standing out of police stations here? Oh, Reeve. Probably for the better, yes, because Bago like it on fire. Oh jeez, boy, Bago. Oh jeez. And I like my Tobago, you know, but they have me worried. Yeah, like the Shadow Ninjas from Jackie Chan Adventures. Facts, Fire Flame. Facts, we have ghetto Shadow Ninjas out here. I wonder if I could hire them, you know. You're making a little bank trip and you have something to withdraw. You just make the call, and as you enter the bank, you just see them appear. And they're on the lookout. They put on the grimy face. You jump in your car, you drive off with your stuff, and they just... and gone. Hey, Nathan Springer Mindful Live, you on the inside. Yes, we are. Chris 868. Thank you, sir. Thank you for jumping in. The cities are reeling with crime, people. And as I keep saying, as I keep mentioning, the thing that many people like to talk about, where it's the poverty that is causing the crime, you know, is the people in the people in the ghetto that can't have opportunities, and that's why they do crime. And as I continually say, and we keep seeing proven over and over, it seems much more in the reverse. It seems much more like the crime causes the poverty. And if we are having that level of crime in our main cities, our tourism hotspot Tobago, our commerce hotspot Chaguanas, our main city of business, Port of Spain, what are Arima known for? No insult to the Arimans, but what exactly you're known for? The old Carib city Arima. They can't even jump up in Juve and enjoy themselves. If this crime situation continues, the crime situation itself is going to strangle our economy. What do you think about the response from Hines when the reporter asked him about his results and tenure? I didn't see that response personally, but I saw someone spoke about it. I am unsurprised by nearly anything that Mr. Hines would say. He seems to be a man that is not short in confidence in his own ability, even if the confidence at sometimes may or may not be misplaced. He seems one that is not short in the confidence arena, and he also seems like one who is in pretty tight on the PNM hierarchy. So he isn't one that you could make political sways within the party to get rid of him that easily. So he's allowed, it seems, a bit of latitude. And to be fair, being a bigwig in the PNM and being someone with that personality, that may very well be why he was placed in that ministry in the first place, because that ministry is a kind of setup. The Ministry of National Security in Trinidad and Tobago is a kind of setup, because how much would he do that he could do on his own, that he doesn't need the Prime Minister, who is the head of the National Security Council, and the police to be on board with? How much can he actually do? That's a question on its own. But no, I didn't see his response, and I'm not surprised if it's arrogant and a bit condescending. I wouldn't be surprised by that, because it's been a familiar treat for him, I think, in my opinion. Let's jump into the news. Guns blaze in Port of Spain. Cutlass man killed. Shot cop. Driver critical. An unfortunate night of violence. That was how senior officers of Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Port of Spain Division described the events that took place on Monday night, which resulted in 2 people, including a police officer, being shot and another man being killed during a confrontation with police. The first incident began around 8:30 p.m. when a 26-year-old Diego Martin man was shot on St. Paul Street in Port of Spain. But I wonder if that's the first incident in this series of events, because I seem to recall, I believe it was on the same day, that there was a murder in Beetham Gardens, and the police reportedly intercepted the killers somewhere in Port of Spain around the St. Paul's region. And reportedly, they found the weapons and stuff in the car. So it may have been from the very first murder in Beetham earlier in the day, may have been when it was triggered. The victim told investigators he was leaving the car park at Spree Simon Flats after visiting his girlfriend when he saw 2 masked men standing in the road. The men were holding firearms. The suspect shot at the man, hitting his silver Mazda 3. They then got into a silver Suzuki Landy parked nearby and drove off. A black Honda Vezel was also seen speeding away. Residents found the man in the front seat of his car bleeding from multiple gunshots, wounds to his face and chest. They notified the police and paramedics, and the injured man was taken to the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, Mount Hope, where he was treated. His condition is listed as critical. And I wonder in this, good night Jackies, I wonder in this shooting here, if this guy was even a known man wanted by the ops or the opponents in this war, this silly war they have going on, or if he was just the first random man they see when they came spinning for vengeance. They came spinning looking for vengeance, and anybody that popped up at the given time was going to get it, and he was just so unfortunate to be leaving from his girlfriend at just that time. And if that's the case, like if it is a case where it's someone who might be affiliated and all of that, that may be a little different. But if it's just the first random man walking out, that's a very scary thing. That's a very scary thing. That means you don't have to be involved. All you have to do is be in the area. All you have to do is be in the area. And then what does that encourage? That encourages people to not be in the area. When they shell the block, who dead, that's the mentality. And I wouldn't be surprised, and I might guess so, Because if they're spinning the block for vengeance, the affiliated guys, the guys who know what just happened and what is going on, they may be the ones that are hiding. They may be the ones keeping low. They may be the ones armed and looking to fire back. But if you're an innocent guy, you don't know all that's going on. You just leave from your girlfriend. You don't know that those 2 cars there are known cars from the ups. You don't know that those men just looking for anybody to get them in. You just walking, unfortunately. Police told the Express that 47 .556 shells were found at the scene, as well as 37 9mm shells. I don't think they shot at that man alone. As Abu Friday said, I think they went to shell the block, because I don't think they shot 47 .556 rifle rounds at the man and he is only in critical condition. I mean, I'm glad the man is alive, but that's a lot of bullets. I don't think they were all aiming at that one man. I think they were just shelling the relative vicinity. Minister of National Security speaks as if he's doing us a favor. We should be so lucky he's there. Well, that's a lot of the PNM attitude. The PNM is the elitist party, so they speak with that condescending attitude nearly all the time. Even Dr. Rowley speaks with that attitude, nearly as if he's speaking down to the people he's speaking with. I don't like it, but I find it to be a common PNM attitude. An APB All Points Bulletin was issued with the description of the suspects and the vehicles used in the shooting. Among the officers who responded to the APB was PC Shakala Charles, attached to the Guard and Emergency Branch. Charles was in a marked police vehicle with 3 other GB officers. At about 9 p.m. they received the information that the vehicle involved in the shooting was seen at St. Paul Street. So these men, there's a glaring difference in the police response depending on the hotspot and gang involved. I heard that allegation Abu Friday. I saw the mother of the murdered young girl up in Canada, Lavantil. She alleged that she went to the police station and asked them to take her to the crime scene, and they told her, "Ma'am, we don't go up there." And I believe her. I believe her. And I have been saying this for a while. I do not live in Port of Spain. I have no affiliation with anyone up that side. I know nothing. I am speaking as an observer, watching from the outside, looking at news. And it could seem like there are way more police raids on one end of the war than on the other end of the war. That's how it seems to me. I don't know. Maybe the police know exactly what they're doing and they have a plan to dismantle everything, and that's what they're doing. But from the outside, it looks... Anyway, these men, allegedly, just shut up the block. The first shooting happened at 8:30. They're so confident that police aren't bothered that they will return 9 o'clock to do what? Good evening, Kervon. What are you returning? How you mean you just let off half of 100? Half of 100 .556 rounds, 9mm like rain, half an hour ago. And you feel confident in the capital city, a block away from the police station, to spin the block again in the same car? Somebody explain this to me. This makes no sense. This makes absolutely no sense. Like, I would have assumed that car would have been scrapped and burning on some corner somewhere already. But these guys are so confident that they have the opening, that they have exactly Abu Friday, exactly like that hospital scene where the shooting happened, and somehow they were able to spin the block, come back in the hospital and finish the work. That's insane to me. Right in our capital city. How is anyone to feel safe in the capital city? How are you to feel safe? How? These fellas obviously aren't bothered. So they returned to the block. They returned to the block half an hour later. At about 9 p.m., they received information that the vehicle involved in the shooting was seen at St. Paul Street. The officers went to the location and saw the vehicle parked with its doors open. But before they could get out their car, they heard a series of loud explosions and took cover. However, Charles cried out in pain after being shot in the chest. And this is what happens when the police allow these things to accelerate. And I am telling you, I don't wish for this. I don't want this. I hope all our officers are safe and unharmed. But more of this is going to happen if the police keep allowing these men to continue. They are not going to get safer. They are going to get more reckless. It's inevitable. And the more die on each side, the more reckless they are going to become. If you murder 90% of my cousins, brothers, and brethren I grew up with, I don't care at this point. I don't care. The war is just going to get hotter and more reckless and more chaotic. My solution is whichever officers allowing these men to get through with what they're doing to stop doing it. Listen. You're telling me that gangs allegedly fighting in Port of Spain, St. Paul Street, and in Beetham Gardens, right here, right there. All the roads connecting those two communities are known. There are no hidden tunnels and tracks and mystery roads that connect Beetham Gardens and St. Paul Street. All the roads are known. You cannot tell me these men are leaving one planning, driving to the next planning, murdering people, and driving back. Everybody knows, and they can't be caught. Nah, Abu Friday, I don't know which gang. Abu is saying it's the same gang do those both shootings. I don't know which gang did anything. I don't know. But the gangs are obviously Port of Spain gangs. It's going on in Port of Spain. I don't believe that this is a police service doing their best, and these fellas are just so brilliant. They are weaving their way around the police and outsmarting them. Like, if we have a gang law, anti-gang law, how you mean a man has the shadow ninjas protecting him when he comes to the police station? Isn't that proof of a gang coordinating? How you mean 10 men could be loitering outside of a police station? What? His condition was listed as critical and he was in need of a blood transfusion. The Suzuki Landy was recovered by a team of officers from the Interagency Task Force led by PC Maraj and PC Nanan on Queen Street between Duncan and Nelson Streets. The vehicle had spent shells and casings as well as a magazine. At about 1 a.m. yesterday, officers of the GEB led by Senior Superintendent Eli and Superintendent Frank received information that the suspects in the shooting incidents were seen in Silots. The officers went to a home on Production Avenue where, on entering, a police corporal was attacked by a man wielding a cutlass. The man swung at the corporal, hitting him on the head, police stated. The officer was wearing a helmet and the blade did not cause serious injury. This is very interesting. Again, very interesting. The police went to a residence. The guard and emergency branch come with all them men for a raid on a police killer. So you could imagine the kind of show of force they're coming in with. And you're telling me that this man ran out with a cutlass and hit a police on top of his helmet? He hit him bunk on his helmet? Really? Because if you're coming out with a cutlass to a group of guard and emergency branch running down a police killer, you know you're on a suicide mission. You know that you're looking for suicide by cop. That's what you're aiming at if you do something like that. Alright? Let's think about this. So they're telling me he ran out with a cutlass and hit the officer on his hat. Bunk! The officer was wearing a helmet and the blade did not cause serious injury, but two officers, on seeing the attack, drew their firearms and shot at the suspect. The man fell to the ground, dropping the cutlass. The officers took the injured man to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. He was later identified as Jonathan Warwood, aka Johnny Boy. So Johnny Boy, the police are hoping, we believe, saw a raiding party of officers, armed himself with a cutlass, and ran out to bump the police on his helmet. I am telling you, I'm putting it plainly, I do not believe them. The story does not add up. This is a father of two. The community says he's a Mason. They say he wasn't involved. I don't know. I can't put my head on a block. All I'm saying is the story does not add up. If this father of two Mason who was working and had work planned for the morning, if he was aiming to off himself, wouldn't he have aimed for an exposed part of the officer? I mean, if he could have gotten in to hit the officer on his helmet, couldn't he have hit the... And this is not what I'm wishing for. I hope you understand what I mean. But couldn't he have aimed for the officer's neck or face or somewhere without a helmet? What? He get one lashing on the helmet and two officers corn him up after that. Okay, police, okay. Yesterday afternoon, a man who gave his name as Blackbird and claimed to be a close friend of Warwood visited the Express and said that Johnny Boy was not a criminal but was in fact a gifted builder. He said up to Monday, he and Warwood had been working on a house in the area and got off work around 7 p.m. to get some good rest to continue working on Tuesday. He said he was awakened at 1 a.m. after hearing gunshots, only to find out his neighbor had been killed. The man claimed that police accused Warwood of allowing a group of men to run into his home to escape being chased and that he had been hiding them. The man added that police were demanding that Warwood allow them to search his premises, but when he refused, they shot him. The police have denied this, of course. I don't know, Abu. I don't know why they are using such low-rated armor. Somehow, though, and listen, but a man says, but if he had killed the police, what would have been the story? Well, if he had killed the police, then he would have been a murderer and the police would have killed him. But this isn't about that if. That's like saying if a criminal wasn't a criminal, then he wouldn't be in jail. We're not talking about that if. This if you're giving me is supposing that the police's story makes sense. That story makes sense to you, man? Good night, Tubal. That story adds up to you? A man at 1 in the morning sees a team of guard and emergency branch police come to raid, picks up a 3-line and runs out to hit them on their helmet. Hit one on his head. Jiggle says he wouldn't have known. Really? Have you ever seen a GEB raid that was mysterious and a sudden surprise? What do you mean he wouldn't have known? The team of Land Cruisers just driving Sealot and lights blinking and he would not have known? That does not make sense. That does not make sense. The version that Blackbird, his brethren Blackbird, is giving, that version actually, and I am not a friend of either group, I am just saying that version to an onlooker seems to make more sense. Not saying the police version is impossible, it's just not probable. And if the friend's version is true, police have their families to return to. Look at what happened on St. Paul Street. I agree. Police do have their family to return to. But because police have their family to return to, does that allow them latitude to murder? Because that's what we're discussing here. We're discussing something that may be murder. I mean, I understand that they have a high-risk job. I understand that totally. I understand that some communities are difficult to patrol. I understand that totally. But that is not an excuse for murder. So what if he was involved? If he was involved, he was involved. I don't know. I have said this repeatedly. I don't know. What I am saying is the story does not add up. He was involved. They shot a police in his chest on St. Paul's. They shot a police in his chest on St. Paul's. But when they reached by his home and he was making his last stand, he went with a cutlass to tap somebody's helmet. Jiggles, that makes sense? That adds up to you. These men just shot a police in his chest and you corner him and his last move. No, but Jiggles asked, so what if he was involved? If he was involved, I suppose they have access to guns. He's making his last stand. He's going to make his last stand with a cutlass. Have you ever heard these number gangsters, East Port of Spain gangsters rolling with cutlass? That sounds like the gangster modus operandi. And he would have known he's making his last stand. Alright, well that makes more sense, Abu Friday. That actually makes more sense. Somebody had to get bullets as the police got shot. They just had to do it smarter this time. That actually makes more sense to me, that the police were out on a more vengeful tirade and they came upon some opposition, and I wouldn't doubt that the man was arrogant or ignorant. Maybe if you wake me up at 1 o'clock in the morning after a day of construction work, I may be pretty arrogant or ignorant too. But of course not blood, but you'll never go home with the guns. Okay, Jiggles. He wouldn't go home with the gun. Why wouldn't he go home with the gun? Jiggles, let's go through this. I feel like I want you to join so we can have this discussion properly. Alright, so he wouldn't go home with the guns because he's afraid the police come and lock him up with the guns. So if he doesn't go with the guns, that means he has interest to get away. If he has interest to get away and he does not have the guns at home, why would he rush the police with a cutlass? He has no guns in the house. The police seem like they didn't find any gun on him. So what's the reason for rushing the police with a cutlass? Explain that to me, Jiggles. Alright, he was involved. They stashed the guns. He reached home in his house. The police have nothing on him. They come to raid his house. He rushes them with a cutlass. I am really trying to see which direction this even remotely sounds like it makes sense. It doesn't, there's no way I could see this making sense. Like, if you say the man was known to be an unstable man in the community and he was an outpatient of the mental hospital or something like that, and okay, he rushed the police with a cutlass because his head was a little spazzy or something, alright, well then that may be some reason. But you're telling me a father of two Mason worked till 7 p.m. the day before, have work in the morning, just randomly wake up at 1 o'clock to run at the police with a cutlass. Not even to take out one, just to bonk him on his head. Nah, man. Nah, like, at some point in time we have to call BS. Tell them no, give us something better, because this does not make sense. I am not giving you the benefit of the doubt, because the police to me in Trinidad and Tobago do not deserve the benefit of the doubt. In the first place, these men were not supposed to be getting away with what they're getting away with. The reason the gangs are in the ascendancy they are in is because of police looking the other way for years and decades already. It's like the prisons officers. The prisons officers are at risk because themselves are crooked. Your own fellow prison officer allows a phone to come in, and that phone is used to make a threat to your family on the outside. It's your own team allowing it. Why can't I say that, Jiggles? Tell me why. Tell me why can't I say that? No, we don't have body cam, Brian, because the police service does not want body cam. And that's why you cannot get the benefit of the doubt from me. You do not want the body cam. If you are a person saying, oh, you don't know how dangerous out there is, these people are real dangerous out there, it's so real dangerous, and it's so dangerous out there. You all have no idea how dangerous. Okay, well, the body cam would show us. The body cam, and to me in the United States, that's what the body cam did. The body cam footage showed much more that the public was endangering the police than the police were endangering the public. Without certain things happening in the prison would be very dangerous. What do you mean by that, Jiggles? The prison is dangerous because of what the prison officers allow. That's why the prison is dangerous. You have these men in captivity controlling everything they do. If these men are a danger to you, it's because of what you allow them to do. That seems a pretty simple formula to me. And you know what's amazing, Dream Chaser? You know they know the man's name? They know the man's name. They know which cell he in. They know which gang he runs. They know his girlfriend that helps him run the gang. They know when she come in. They know the names of his lieutenants. They know their home base. But somehow this man inside a cell, they know where he is 24/7. Somehow. And I'm supposed to believe these PNM supporters jumping up all about the place and saying it's really the society. What's the problem is the society and parenting. And the police like, well, the society has to help us. Y'all help yourselves now. That is true, Abu Friday. You know, when they talk about declaring your source of wealth, your source of income, I think that source of income is going to hurt the protective service the most. I think that they're looking to, and it's so suspicious. PNM been speaking about this since 2010. It's 2024, and up till now we can't get a solid thing on this source of income business. Source of wealth. Why is this person driving a Hilux on a B15 salary? And I don't have a hate for you doing good things. More power to you, sir. I'm glad you are driving well. But we know the police officer's salary. That gold chain you're wearing is a year's officer's salary. Are you telling me you saved for a year to buy that gold chain? I would like receipts and invoices. I feel declaration of income will hurt those protective services the most, because many of them live far above the means of their salary. We know this in Trinidad. And then when you say this in public, some officer is going to jump up and, no, you can't say that. Police on this out there is just trying to bring down. Like, if we are Trinis who are neighbors with police, watch police grow up, knew them since they were 14, and saw when they entered the academy, saw when they came out, saw when they got their first gold chain, saw where they started to lime. We know all of that. We are along with them. Easy to get. Yeah, Taro booty face boy. Yeah, boy. That's the loans. The loans is how they get that. Does this mean we have some form of organized crime if the police know most of the high heads? Yes. Trinidad's crime for decades now hasn't been scattershot. It's not just random riffraff doing crime. A lot of Trinidad's crime is organized crime. Well, if it's overtime giving them the money, well, it would still tell in the receipts and invoices, Jiggles. We're watching the police and straying from the issue at hand. And what is the issue at hand, Triglam? Yes, Jiggles, of course you can. Of course you can ask a question. After seeing the video today with men watching over, the leader head rubbed me the wrong way. Me too, Dream Chaser. And Dream Chaser, you know, the things that there are several things that rubbed me the wrong way with that video. The video seems like it was recorded by an officer in an unmarked vehicle. That's one of the things that made me a bit concerned. It seemed like an officer who knew what was going on, and it's nearly like, okay, the reason the public would record something like that and put it online is because that's all the public could do. If I see something like that, all I could do is record it and put it online so that someone in authority would see this and be able to do something to fix this, because this shouldn't exist in this country. But if you're telling me the police, the group of people charged with taking care of this problem are recording it like the helpless citizens, where we at? And Jiggles, what can be done to gain the respect and help from the public? I would love to know if you know Tanti Erla and she really has this question and she would earnestly like an answer. I would love to give answers. For one, stop sharing tickets. I am not saying that the country can't share tickets, but leave the ticket sharing for licensing division and for those in the reflective suit now, traffic police, traffic wardens. That's one. For me, the country is too lawless, too violent for us to segregate police into road traffic tickets. Doesn't make sense to me. It's like if you're fighting a war with a country and you're taking some of your military to go plant flowers at the side of the road. Like, okay, yes, flowers at the side of the road would beautify the country, but it's currently a war. We have to win the war first, and then we'll see about the nitty-gritty. So Trinidad isn't the kind of country where you aim to comb through the road with a fine-tooth comb. Like if we're Germany out here. You know, like if we're Germany and we have most of the things down, so we're just looking to sharpen up our road systems. That's one. Because one of the biggest loss of trust between the public and the police is that ticket business. Because almost all tickets given are not given to criminals. They're given to law-abiding citizens trying to go about their law-abiding business. The road traffic laws are so onerous that on any given day, anyone in anything but a brand new luxury vehicle could almost surely be given a ticket for some reason or the other. To have the police doing that job, to have the police as the tax collectors for the government, a government that people already don't like, that's obviously losing trust. Any commissioner that is serious about gaining trust with the public and on the road giving tickets every busy morning, they're lying. They are liars, they are hypocrites, they aren't serious. Because that's obvious to me. Here's another thing. You want to gain trust with the public? The first thing I was doing when my 2 women officers go to arrest the Maximan after he didn't help is I was making a public issuance that we understand this is the law, but we also understand the current situation that the country is in, and we do not blame the driver. We understand that we have a duty as police officers to fulfill, and we regret that this became such an issue, and we ask for the public to work with us, but we would not like to force this upon the public, knowing this is our duty that we are paid for and we are hired to put on this weight. And like, don't you all have a communication officer? You could have turned this into gold. Instead, it's shite. You arrest a Maximan in Citygate because he didn't want to help you lock up another criminal in Citygate. Here's the thing. We're just going through the reality. We're just going through, they can't be law-abiding if they're breaking simple traffic laws. Try glam. Let me breathe. Are you a fool, Triglam? Are you a fool? Or are you just pretending here? Did you not just hear me say the traffic laws are too onerous in the country? Triglam, I believe you are a police. That attitude gives me police, and that is why the police cannot gain trust in this country. That is the colonial police attitude. That's the colonial police attitude, where they are here to dictate the orders of the colonial government unto you, the citizens. While the attitude of a police service is we are here to serve the people. So if the laws are not serving the people, then the problem is the laws, not the people. Don't you get that? You are the police service. Your job isn't to be a minuscule law keeper. That's not actually your job. Isn't it to protect and serve and keep the peace? You would have been at the head of the slave catchers team. This slave, if he didn't want licks, he should not run away. Look in the law. Running away for slaves is illegal. And you are now, by the law, declared to get stripes. What you talking about human rights? It's the law. The law is the law. That's some folly. I despise the bootlicking. I must say then, when do police objectively enact the law? And that's what I was just speaking about here. To me, in a country like Trinidad, there's no way you are supposed to be giving someone a ticket as a police. There's no way I am supposed to see 4 police officers surrounding a vehicle to give someone a ticket for bubble in their tint. Their tint has a bubble, an air bubble in their tint. And 4 police officers have them pulled over for 15 minutes, sweating them to give them a $1,200 ticket for bubble in their tint. We are not that kind of country. Someone is being murdered at this very moment. And to me, you need some kind of, this word always slips my mind, you know, in the hospital in emergency where they're trying to determine which level of emergency it's at. You need some of that. You need some of that in the country, for goodness sakes. Triage. You need some triage, triage. You need that. You can't just start at the softest things while people are dying like flies. You want to build trust? That's the things you do. You want to build trust? Community policing. Here's the thing. Turn off the air conditioning in every police vehicle and keep the windows down. How about that? How about that? Don't make people feel like this is an exclusive up there gang who are out here as the private royal army for the government. That's what the police feel like. The police, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, doesn't feel like my village police that if I have an issue, I go to the police to help them, for them to help me now, boy. That's not what and here's this article. Let me pull up this, an interesting article here. Let me see if I can find this. Friends get 5 years in jail for killing man who acted improper with girlfriend. And here's the thing. This is what happens when people don't trust the police. And I've said this before. Really and truly, the police aren't only there to catch the criminals, you know. The police are there to make sure that regular people feel like there's justice out there. Because here's the thing, if regular people feel like there isn't justice out there, eventually regular people would want to take justice into their own hands. All humans have an innate sense of justice that they want to see enacted into the world. If you don't do that as the police, the citizens would want to do it themselves. Friends get 5 years in jail for killing man who acted improper with girlfriend. So these two friends murdered a man in 2014 because allegedly the man acted improper with the girlfriend. The woman who was a state witness claimed that she told the duo that the man had been sexually inappropriate with her in the past and they followed him when he left her home. Why isn't a report like that to the police? if you are assaulted, you report it to friends and they take it into their hands instead of the police. Why, you think? Mr. Springer, the structure of the police is run through the colonial structure. You are right, Tubal Bampat. Our police service is a continued legacy from the Trinidad and Tobago colonial police. They never stopped, redid the police and started over. It's just a straight continuance. And in my opinion, I still see that mentality today, where the police in Trinidad do not act like they are here to serve the public. They act like they are here to control the public. They are here to control the public. Well, Jiggles, I don't agree they started over. Because when our police service celebrates their anniversary, they celebrate their founding and starting from the colonial police service since the 1800s or 1700s or something like that. They celebrate their 100 and something. So it is a continuance of the organization. Ria says, and no one wants to take the time to restructure for what we need or to fit our demands. And Ria, this has been my grouse with our with our parliament for a very long time now. This is literally the job of the parliament. This is literally the job of the parliament. The parliament is supposed to look around at the communities, at the constituencies. Each member of parliament represents a community. Like we don't take this for the literal thing it is. The member of parliament is called the representative of this constituency. And these people living in this constituency are his constituents. What that means is this representative is supposed to represent the views of the group of people in his constituency and go to parliament and attempt to get those views enacted into the laws of the country, so that the laws of the country reflect the views of the people. But we don't do that. The laws do not reflect the views, and then we have geniuses out here that saying just follow the laws. The laws that are opposite to how Trinidad runs. You see, if we have a country where we have culture where people build mud huts, let's say we have a culture where, let me use a real example. We have a culture in Trinidad and Tobago where cremation, open cremation with wood pyres is a very common thing. In many countries in Europe, that is illegal. You will be jailed if you burn a human body on an open wood pyre. It's legal here in Trinidad. It's a normal thing. Should it be that our government should look to Europe and grab one of their laws, the whole batch of laws, and bring it to Trinidad and enact it and make this illegal? You know, this is kind of nasty. You know, it's a weird thing. Who wants to really do that? Yeah, no. Illegal. And then, when the police lock up the Hindus who would still very likely do it, we have Triglam in the chat saying all them Hindus were supposed to do is follow the law in criminal behavior. Abu Friday, I know, but I was using an example that people could relate with much easier. I think that's what happened with our laws too. The idea that you are supposed to only be able to import vehicles of a certain age. Vehicles over a certain age always need to be inspected. Almost all of the laws regarding your vehicle mean that they are supposed to be in the most tip-top of conditions. To have those kind of road laws in a country that now came out of colonialism 60 years ago, you are obviously going to segregate the society. You are going to allow certain people to live much easier with those laws, and certain people have to hide and duck and run from the police. There are certain people who drive the roads with their vehicle. They have to drive it to make a living, but they know they have to avoid the police. So inevitably you introduce them to the underworld world of sorts. I have to move in a way where I have to avoid the police all the time. So how could I trust the police? How could I trust the police? When I know if I see a police, they're very likely trying to figure out a way to get $1,000 out of me. Most likely, the most likely possibility, if I bounce into a police as a regular citizen, is that they're trying to get $1,000 out of me. Try glam, I figure that you aren't listening, so I'd ignore you. That's the most likely possibility. And then the police service would come back and tell the nation, we are trying to build trust. What we need is, so when you see something, to say something. Work with us as we work with you. No, I won't, because I don't trust you. Plus that 5% for 3 years have them in a bad mood. Like, and I on that side, I regularly say, I understand the police job is a very difficult job too. I understand that at the same time, fully. In fact, I would not join the police service, because I think the stage the police service is at now, if I were to join just as a recruit inside of there, it's either I am going to be corrupted or killed. One out of the two. How does the police think that will go, torturing us with fines? Well, it will go how it is going until Trinidad gets much more difficult. But what that is causing more and more is law-abiding citizens and criminals have more in common. So now, the law-abiding citizens and the criminals would have to share the same WhatsApp groups. And yes, many of the law-abiding citizens may be aware when they send that warning, a criminal may duck it. But at least somebody doesn't have to pay a $2,000. Is even beside the beard and the mustache. I'm just saying, like, that's another reason why personally, and this could be, I know this is a hard one to say, and it could be unfair. I'm prefacing it by saying it could be unfair. But the fact that more police officers aren't, one, selling out their friends, or two, being attempted murdered by their friends, tells me that there aren't many police in there attempting to change the status quo of the corrupt officers. The good officers in the police service keep their heads down and turn the other way, because I do not believe that the good officers have no idea what the bad officers are doing. I don't believe that. I just don't. Yes, they did say that. They did say that. They are allowed some bed now. That was struck down by the High Court. All right. Let me see if they... You all saw this story. I don't even know if I want to really dive in fully into the details of the woman, the young woman who went to a party, met someone, then went to a guest house with this someone and another friend, and then is alleging that those two people assaulted her in the guest house. Blessed night, Kevin. These are some strange things, you know. These are some strange things. Like, I wonder sometimes about our trainees. I don't know Sagittarius. Maybe they went to play numbers or skip rope. I don't know. But sometimes I wonder about our trainees and their thinking. Another one got robbed in East Port of Spain going to sell an iPhone on the corner of Charlotte and Duke or something like that. Like, who by now no one should go to East Port of Spain expecting to sell an iPhone. Like, you all haven't learned the lesson yet. According to the article, that's the first time she met in person, The one who went San Juan to buy a car and get shoot. Yep. Like, what are you all doing? Anyone who getting robbed in Port of Spain from Marketplace deserves that. Yeah. I don't understand it. Who is getting me to go anywhere from East Port of Spain to Mount Dore? I'm sorry. I am sorry if it sounds like I'm being stereotypical and stereotyping some communities, but it's just facts. I will go and meet people and talk. I have no problem going to Lime and meet friends. But when you mean a business arrangement where I'm meeting a stranger from the internet to exchange money for goods, you have to be cracked. But I think a lot of this happens because a lot of trainees are obsessed with deals. They like the little deal and something that sounds too good to be true, and they always get caught. Sagittarius, he said it just as I was. That's the problem. Many trainees like too many deals. If it's, you know, the statement as they say, if it sounds too good to be true, it's because it might be. You know, and in this, we have a bit of victim blaming. But I'd like to read an article to see if we blame victims in this too. Something interesting stood out to me in this article. Why people even doing these huge cash transactions and must have smart? I don't know. About the young pregnant girl who was murdered in Lavantil. Grandmother of slain 19-year-old UE student. Only God can help us. Relatives of 19-year-old student Samantha Celine Shady, described her as an intelligent, kind, independent, and loving. Shady's grandmother, Marceline Badal, who raised her and with whom she lived, spoke with Newsday on July 20th. She said since hearing her granddaughter's murder, she has taken solace in God and the knowledge that Shady knew and accepted Christ. All right. She was really intelligent and loved nature and animals. So teachers from Northeastern Secondary School called me this morning to express their shock and send condolences. She urged parents to cover their children in prayer and emphasized that young people need to turn to God, believing that a lack of discipline in homes and schools is contributing to the spiraling crime rate. We have spared the rod and now the child is spoiled. We need to study the book of Revelation and understand the times we are living in, Badal said. And I was like, I was like, Tanti making some sense. Tanti making a good bit of sense there. But Sagittarius, you are factual, because I'm going to go in further into what Tanti said here, and I'm not trying to cast any negative thing on Tanti in her times of grief, in her time of grief, but we're just analyzing the words. Just analyzing the words that Tanti said, and then further on from what she said, because this young girl was reportedly 19 years and pregnant in a car with a 36-year-old man in a hotspot area in Laventille. And the man seemed like he may have been known in those words. While Badal knew most of Chady's friends, she did not know John, the man she died with. She said she never tried to hold Chady back and allowed her to experience life. We were all young at one time and wanted to go and take a little lime. She was a good child. I never had to worry about her getting in trouble. I never tried tying her down. But does that sound like what Tanti was saying right previously? That parents have failed in disciplining their children. We have spared the rod and spoiled the child and all of that. And then Tanti would go on to say, you don't know who seemed to me have been her boyfriend and possibly the father of her unborn child. You don't know that person. And you said, you know, we all live a little, you know, we are all young, you wanted to experience life. What? Because here's the thing. Part of experiencing life is being shot in a hail of bullets in a car. That's part of life. If you're just leaving your child to experience various aspects of life all on their own as they feel, you know, we were all young and had that adventurous spirit. That's part of the experience of life. Do you want to leave your child to experience life like that? Does that make sense? Karim Del Pesh says, are known for devil reds. Facts. Smolly was going UE too. Yes, she was, and that's a not an unheard of story. A promising young lady throws it all away, seemingly, for a not that promising young man. How does that work? And Tanti, I am really sorry for your loss. I really hope that I'd have loved if the young girl didn't have to die. But that's part of the experiencing life. And that's why I think parents are supposed to discipline their children and even inhibit some of their life experiences. Because not all of those life experiences are experiences you want them to have. Yeah, they do, Abu Friday. Yeah, they do. And the thing is, wanting that adventure, that excitement, wanting that adventure and that excitement is understandable. And I think as parents, part of your mission is to aim them wisely. Like, you want an exciting man, you could get an entrepreneur, a man who's always moving and shaking within his field, who is looking to grow. You would have a life of excitement with him. The only place for an exciting partner isn't with a Glock on the dresser. What I think about the woman stealing the books, I actually didn't fully read that story. I only really saw that in comments and headlines. I didn't read the details of the story. I would be interested to know if she sought help for the books before she reached to the point of stealing them. Like, you know, if she sought help from someone to get the books in a legal way, and then when that failed, then she stole them. I mean, if that's the case, I would have much more latitude for the crime. But if it's just stealing, because there are people who would be stealing books, but it's not for their children, they may be stealing it to buy. I didn't read the story. You said it, so maybe I should go and dig in and see if I could find that story and find the details of that story, because I just don't know. Yeah, Shappy. Well, maybe that's why I say I'd like to hear the story, because I am not judging the woman before the story, before I know, but judging from knowing situations like that. Very often, as I keep saying, poverty usually is not the cause and the drive of crime. Very rarely that's the case. Very rarely you find it that someone is a criminal exclusively because they are poor. Often they are a criminal because they lack morals. Often. And many of the times, some criminals have no problem attempting to play on your pity. Abu Friday, I'm not taking that now. I'm not taking that now. Because when people steal, it's not a zero. It's not a game where you just gain something and you don't hurt anyone. You're literally enslaving someone basically there. If someone comes and breaks into my house and steals a television that costs $5,000 or how much ever dollars, how much ever hours it took me to work, you basically enslaved me for that time. You just enslaved me and stole my labor. And I have seen poor people. I am not someone who grew up in some bubble where I have never been close to people who have struggles. I have seen people with lack, and I have seen thieves and criminals. And the Venn diagram isn't perfectly overlapping that the thieves and criminals are just people who are in lack. Many of them aren't. And if given the chance, they would be amazingly cruel to you. I've seen instances like that, where some people think that this thief just had a hard shake of life and they're trying to help the thief. And what would you know? The person is a thief, so they would steal from you too, even while you're trying to help them. That's not because they lack the goods. It's because they're a thief. Everyone is just assuming without knowing. Oh, is that about the double murder in Laventille? I am not assuming. I haven't assumed. I haven't assumed at all. But we could work with the facts. The girl grew up with her grandmother. Her grandmother was her guardian. Her grandmother didn't know the man. The man was 36 with a pregnant 19-year-old. How long was the relationship going on? She didn't too long turn legal. So, I don't have to assume a lot. The story tells a lot. 36, 19 pregnant tells something. Oh, you're talking in general. Okay. Well, yeah. But that's just the fact. People do assume. people do assume, and that's why parents, at least my mother, would always warn you about certain things you're doing, because there are assumptions that are going to be made. There are assumptions that are going to be made. You don't do certain things sometimes just because of the assumption that would be made with it. Sometimes the assumptions are unfair, but they may not be unreasonable. As in, there's a reason they exist. It's like me assuming that the police killing in Sealots sounds fishy. That is an assumption. The police gave a story, and if the police story is correct, then everything about the shooting is above board. But I find it does not make sense. So there are some presumptions and assumptions that I am making too. It's reasonable though. If you see a 36-year-old man with a pregnant 19-year-old woman on Canada Hill in Laventille, shot to death by numerous rifle rounds, there are assumptions that would be made. Unfortunately, if it is that everyone in it is just innocent and you just happen to be there and maybe it was mistaken identity, you drove the wrong brethren car, the girl wasn't even supposed to be there that day, she's actually a good girl, maybe you all just met and the relationship now kick off and everything really above board, who knows, maybe it is so, but the assumptions would still be made. The assumptions would still be made. And it's cruel. That's why oftentimes, and those who are familiars in my life, I don't regularly talk about some of these kind of situations because of that. Because when you're dealing with people's personal situation, especially someone who now died, someone whose relatives are seeing something raw, for you to speak about it and get certain assumptions wrong and all of that's a scary thing. And I find like the idea of people commenting on social media and commenting disparaging things, that makes no sense. Like, what's the intention there? It's not like commenting that now is going to make the girl change her behavior and undo her death. That doesn't happen like that. Who knows? That's life, and that's Trinidad. It's a dangerous place. In a dangerous place like Trinidad, like, I have a daughter. I cannot see me sending my daughter at 90 with her 36-year-old boyfriend for any one thing up in Laventille Hill. I don't see a reasonable reason for my 19-year-old girl child to be coming down that hill. Exactly, Sheppy. That's what I'm saying. There are assumptions being made, but the story also bears out some facts. And I mean, I'm speaking just on the factual side here. Just on the factual side. Oh, I now get where you're going with this, Sheppy. I now fully understand that. I now fully understand where you're going with that. And you know, that's a very good point. I'll delve into that too. That's a very good point. That the assumption is made on one side over the other. And I was reading an article by someone of those feminists in Trinidad. I think she's one of Womantra's people, and they were explaining why women don't leave abusive relationships, and she was going through those reasons, etc, etc, etc. And something that I noticed many feminists have is that women, females, girls are perpetually the victims. Everything happens to them. They do nothing. Things only happen to them. They are the victims perpetually. While statistically, the vast majority of abusive relationships are actually both side abusing. As in, the man abuses the woman and the woman abuses the man. The unfortunate thing in that is if a man and a woman are trading cuff for cuff, that 99% is going to end one way. But that's not to say that one person doesn't have, I don't want to use the word fault, but responsibility to take in the whole interaction. And I think the feminist nature of attempting to treat women as perpetual victims, always the victims, infantilize women, treat them as if they don't have agency of their own, that works to their detriment. Because they go through life behaving like that, acting like they have no agency. Like, I could just go to a guest house with two random men and nothing is supposed to happen to me. If something happens to me, then that's all on the men. They are bad men. Yes, they are bad men. I don't deny they are bad men. But I don't think you are a sensible woman either. And you know, that's controversial to say. How dare you say that? How dare you attempt to hold women to any level of responsibility for behavior? How dare you? I think you should dare. I think you should dare. The woman who was murdered in San Fernando, and that's where that came from, the young girl who was murdered in San Fernando. Her mother removed her from the situation, carried her to a safe house. She left, went back with the man, and was murdered shortly after. And that's a familiar story. It's a familiar story. And I'm not of the belief that the only bad people in the world have XY chromosomes. It just so happens that the males are stronger physically and more violent and aggressive. So if they want to do something bad, you'd usually see the bad. You'd figure it out pretty obviously. It's overt. That's not to mean there aren't insanely evil women out there too. Sheppy, I don't know. It probably had a dread session at All Fours going on in the guest house, and she wanted to go in, and she needed, well, if he was going to play All Fours, you only need one partner. I don't know what the two was for. Maybe one was the casa, the banker. They needed somebody to it was a gamble. So I heard somebody say that maybe it had wappy going on the inside. Like, and you know, some of these things sound disparaging. And if the lady indeed was assaulted, it's not like she's going to enjoy that. But we have to become more realistic in this violent country. How is it that people would insult someone who went to sell a phone on Nelson Street and got robbed? They would insult them then. But a woman who went to a guest house with two strange men and was robbed of her virtue, that one, we shouldn't speak about that. I mean, we gotta be smarter than that. Anyway, people, it's 11:31. I'm on my way out. That's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Live Show. I will be here again tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Thursday. Thursday is the night we talk. So if you have anything to talk about, you have questions, you think this man talks rubbish, or you think this man talks good, I want to have a conversation with this guy, feel free to jump in tomorrow. Join the conversation and we will talk. Let's see if there are any comments waiting on me over there on YouTube, on the tubes. If all's good on the tubes, yes, all's good on the tubes. So good night, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. As I said, I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Live Show, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, people, stay inside, stay good. All the grinder people. Ha! Stay well, stay inside, outside sketchy. Laters, people. Bye.